I honestly never thought I'd like this character. Welcome to MCU in 5, and today's is Captain America First Avenger. Released in July of 2011, directed by Joe Johnston, and runs for 2 hours and 5 minutes. Cost $140 million to make and took over $370 million at the box office. This was a surprisingly enjoyable movie. I never thought that I'd enjoy a movie with Captain America in it. I really didn't. He never appealed to me as a character before this stuff. Of course, Chris Evans, Hayley Atwell, and Hugo Weaving, they did a very good job in this movie. That really helped. Their characters were quite excellent. A lot of depth, a lot of persona to them. Real impressive presence on the screen. Okay, while the Red Skull didn't have the deepest of characters, he was still very commanding. A real joy to watch. I mean, it's Hugo Weaving, come on. The characters generally were really good in this. There was a nice little parade of excellent support characters on both sides. It was really nice to see the Howling Commandos turn up. That was quite nifty. Having Arnim Zola there as well. I liked that, and getting that glimpse of his designs in the background for what he may become. That was very nice. Lots of little teasers in this movie. Lots of little sprinkles of the MCU lore. What really sold it to me was when I watched the movie, it felt like a world war, but it's not ours. Same world, slightly to the side. And I really enjoyed that. The way they shot it, the way they presented it, the atmosphere, the musical choices, the dramatic orchestral surges here and there, and the heroic music, and all the other little details, like just the way they wore their uniforms, the way they dressed, the way they spoke, they stood, the pubs and the different settings, the sceneries, even the trees when they were racing around over the front line. It all felt quite accurate. It really felt like the time they were trying to present it as. We got a musical number and a montage at once. I was really delighted with that sequence. That was really much more fun than it should have been. They really played into the extremely campy concept of this character, or at least what he originally was, and I loved that. I also noticed that whenever you had Steve Rogers, little skinny Steve getting around, there was a sepia tone. There was an old school. Don't have time for that. An old school filter was used. That warm sepia brown everywhere, and then when it cuts across the Red Skull, everything's very clean, clear, with a slight bluish silver tinge everywhere. Those opposing color palettes were really nice, very subtle, but very effective. Those two only matched later on in the movie once Steve Rogers was Captain America running around and doing his thing. And let's talk about that. The effects of the good Captain running around and doing his thing, that was very cool. The way they made him seem faster, stronger, 150% human. A lot of the times it was kind of subtle stuff. A lot of times it was being told to you, but then it's being backed up by what you saw. And again, you got your other montage. You got a second montage, which was great. Cap running around with the commandos, doing their stuff behind the enemy lines and really messing up the Red Skull's plans. That felt like a bit of a homage to all the old school commando movies, all those older British movies. It was dramatic, it was tense, it was exciting. It was pretty much everything you needed a movie like this to be. I honestly can't think of anywhere that this movie fell down. It may have got a little hammy, a little cheesy in some of the dialogue, but at the same time, if you're going to have it, you're going to have it in this movie, so that's also, that's quite excusable. The combat and action choreo was quite intense at times, and the way that they shot it really sold the fact that Captain America is the super soldier. Breaking into places, escaping from places, blowing things up. They're just the way that they also demonstrated his tactical mind, and the fact that he really was an excellent soldier. Not a guy that just happened to be doing the job because he was there. He was doing it because he chose to do it. And they also made sure that his character was as shining. He's as much a paladin as they could possibly make him. He's the shining example of Mr. Do It Right. Of course, having Tommy Lee Jones in anything is great, but his role in this was much bigger than I expected. I literally just thought he was going to turn up at the very beginning, do his little thing, and you never see him again. No, he's all the way through this. And Dr. Erskine, Dr. Erskine, I liked his role as well. He was much more pivotal. You not only felt for him, but you definitely saw him as a good man. The writing was great. The delivery of all the lines was fantastic. Acting was excellent. Everything in this movie worked. It worked very well. It introduces a bunch of characters, a bunch of concepts, and a bunch of locations and ideas that flow through the rest of the MCU for all three phases. And it's one of those movies in the MCU that's an absolute linchpin of the storyline. All said and done, this is a great movie. It took me from a detractor to a fan and goes on to set up Steve Rogers as one of the most endearing and beloved characters in this whole franchise. Happy to give this an MCU 3. Thanks for watching, see you in the comments section, and have a great week.